Welcome to the Goody Room, your one-stop shop for everything movies, TV, and more. We know you want the goodies. Welcome into the Goody Room. I'm your host, Matt the Nachos. With me always is the Bob to my Beetlejuice, Frankie Rock. How we doing today, Frank?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. It's good to be back. I feel like it's been a minute since we've done this.
It has been a minute, but I'm excited to talk about some new, stream options that we kind of have watched. Some are a little bit, old, but this is us kind of catching up. That's how long it's been.
That's right. Think of it as like an old relative coming to visit you. We got stories to tell.
Right. And we're bringing back a fan favorite, to like what, 2 out of the 3 or 2 out of the 5 fans we have.
Yes.
Children with Adult Money is back.
Oh, we're back with it. We might have spent a little money.
We're back. And with vengeance.
Vengeance. Oh, and you know what? I didn't think about this until you just said that. It's like, we're going to be able to bring back another segment because of this. The excitement.
It's just a cascade effect. The dominoes are falling.
It's cause and effect.
Yeah, see. Oh man, see, now you got me off track. I'm all messed up.
I know. Right. I was laughing like when we were recording the intro. I don't know if you saw me in the little one. I was laughing because I was like, all right, I'm ready. And you're like, well, I'm not ready now. And all of a sudden it was the logo came up. I was like, oh, I guess we're going.
For those of you, so the platform we use to record these, when we do the intro, it records video. So those of you who aren't on YouTube, you won't see the video. But when our intro card comes up and the intro song comes up, Frank and I, not on the screen that you can see, but we can see ourselves in these little screens underneath the recording screen. And usually we're just doing like little dance battle back and forth.
Dance battle. Dance off.
Right. You got served.
It gets us in the zone for the show. We got to keep it light, and we're just trying to keep it real. Okay.
Right. Well, that's enough chit chat. I say we get into the first segment, streamer Botch. What do you say, Frank?
I'm excited. I even wore my t-shirt. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's a good thing you did, because I think it's the first one up. But hey, first off, a reminder, streamer Botch, we're going to talk about options that we've seen lately. We're going to tell you whether or not it's a stream. And basically a stream is you either watch it on the platform, you wait for it to come on the platform, or you go out to the theater and see it, right? We talk about a lot of different things. Or if it's a botch, we say maybe wait on this one, or don't waste your time, or wait till it's on free on a platform that you have available. But first one we got up, alluding to Frank's t-shirt here, Transformers 1. And Frank, you made it out to the theater. You've been making it out to the theater a lot, man.
I tell you what, I think my wife is just tired of me. She's like, hey, why don't you go to the movies? And I'm like, all right, fine, I'll go to the movies. You don't have to tell me twice. I'm out. And I honestly wanted to go see this one. One, I'm a lifelong Transformers fan, but 2, I was curious to see if this would be something that would keep my son's attention. Because he watches the Buzz Lightyear movie almost nonstop. It's in his rotation. So it's like, okay, well, he watches that. Maybe he'll like Transformers, but I just want to make sure. And I'm glad I went, because I knew it wasn't going to be for him about 15 minutes into the movie. When I came home, I showed him an old episode of the Transformers cartoon, thinking like, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. No, I was right. He lost interest almost immediately. He was like, all right, I'm going to go back to my toys. But Transformers 1, the studio finally did a few things that I've been saying to people for years what they should have done. Number one is there are no humans in this movie. It's just all the Transformers, and boy, do these characters shine. I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but also it's all animated. It looks like a Shrek movie. It's that 3D animation. And I think that was smart, because it's set all on their home planet, Cybertron. And to do that in a realistic type setting, it just to me, I don't think it would work, especially for a whole movie. A couple of flashbacks, sure, but a whole movie, no. So I think the medium that they chose was smart, going all animation, and we finally get to see why Megatron and Optimus Prime don't like each other anymore. The movie starts out, they're like best friends, they're roommates, they work in a mine together, and Cybertron is loosely portrayed as ancient Rome in a way. It's a labor type of society. They have the robots who can transform. They're like the higher lords, and they have the lowly robots who are working the mines. They can't transform because they don't have the right cog in their chest to do so. And basically, they everybody lives underground, and the higher ups are saying the aliens who wiped out the primes, they're up there, they're attacking. We go to war with them every couple weeks. We try to fight. The battle's ongoing. You need to keep mining this material. That way we can keep the war efforts going. And of course, the movie happens, and we find out not everything is what it appears to be. And through that, we see the degradation of Optimus Prime and Megatron's relationship. And I will tell you, the first 40 minutes of this movie, I was sitting there and I was like, why do I come to Transformers movies anymore? Like, they fooled me. They got me in the seat yet again. Here I am wasting my money. But after the first 40 minutes, it like makes this quick jump, and it becomes this Shakespearean tragedy, and the tragedy of seeing this friendship between these two characters die. And we don't have any of the original voice actors in this movie from the original cartoons or the original movies. Chris Hemsworth, who is Thor, he voices Optimus Prime, which not would not have been probably my first pick to replace Peter Cullen, but he did really well. And Brian Tyree Henry voices Megatron, and they both do this thing, and I think it was really smart, where how their voice sounds at the beginning of the movie is not how it sounds at the end of the movie, where they sound more like the original voices towards the end of the movie. And to kind of sell this point, they do after everything goes down, they do a flashback to before while they were still working in the mine of the day they first met, and you can hear just like the innocence in their voices, and it makes it all the more tragic, and it's really a big gut punch. But Chris Hemsworth did great as Optimus Prime. I really enjoyed his spin on the character, but Brian Tyree Henry as Megatron just like kills it. He blows it out of the water to the point where Megatron is now my favorite Transformers character. If I bought this shirt, I have a Decepticon shirt, and Megatron is right in the middle there. I love this movie, and I thought it was so great to see this friendship essentially die, and how the movie ends. It's big, it's insane. Like I'm trying not to spoil it, but I will tell you this, Matt. There were about 5 or 6 moments in the last 20 minutes of the movie. I had to like force myself down in my chair. I wanted to stand up and cheer. Like, that's how awesome it was. You have the audience rating on Rotten. Can you bring up the numbers for me?
Yeah, first of all, I'm liking the way you're describing this, because I've always kind of thought that, like, why don't we get a little bit more of like the relationship, because it seems like something bad went here. Like, and I've kind of thought that too. Like, I would love to see something like that. So now you had my my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Good, good.
And it even has my attention more after seeing these Rotten Tomato scores. So I pulled it up here. Tomato meter, 88%. Popcorn meter, though, which is the audience score, 98%.
I would go with a 95. And like I said, the first 40 minutes, and I think now that I know how the movie ends and what it eventually becomes, I might enjoy the first 40 minutes a little more, but it just was so silly, and just I was like, this is a Transformers movie. Where's the stuff? They trust me, the stuff comes, Matt. And you know how, like, for
It's on Michael Bay, where things are just blowing up out of nowhere.
correct. Michael Bay might have ruined me a little bit. I'm just where are my explosions that look like fireworks? You know what I mean? But and it's not that there's not action. There's some pretty cool scenes, but it's just like the story wasn't there for me. What was I gonna say? You know how like when we saw Deadpool and Wolverine for like the next couple weeks, we were just kind of trying to find little scenes on YouTube just to see some of the movie.
Yeah.
The final fight of this movie I found on YouTube. I've watched it 4 times. It's awesome. It's so satisfying too, but like at the same time, you're just like no.
And let me give another comparison here. So when Frank got out of this theater, he texted me right away. He goes, because Frank and I are like, we love Transformers. Our favorite Transformers movie is Dark Side of the Moon, which was the third installment in that series. And he said that he thought that he might have liked this one better than Dark Side of the Moon.
Right, and that's still up in the air. Like I actually, to get pumped for this new one, I rewatched Dark of the Moon. To me, like this movie is awesome. It holds up. It's one of my favorite action movies of all time. So that came out like 13 years ago now, I think. So I don't know if I'll be able to say Transformers 1 is better than Dark of the Moon personally until like years from now, if I'm still like rewatching and still like loving it. But boy, I walked out of this theater just like ready to rock. Like I thought I was going to transform,
Not to get too off track here, but I saw a reel the other day where, because like Lincoln Park. So I saw a reel of it was basically Michael Bay listening to the new song, and it was like, a light bulb went off, and he wrote down like Transformers like 10 or whatever number there.
Right.
But anyways, any final comments on Transformers 1, man?
So if you're a Transformers fan like me, chances are you've already gone out and see this movie. But if you are of the mind, like, it's another Transformers movie, this one will surprise you, but I would wait for streaming. But honestly, it's really good. I was very surprised of just I thought it was going to be pretty good. I didn't think it was going to be great. I look forward to watching it again. Again, I've hunted down scenes online to rewatch certain parts. It's so hard not to spoil it because I want to talk about like which scenes they are and why I just was like losing my mind. But if you there's lots of surprises. It's just a great time. I love this movie. I can't wait to see it again.
Nice. Well, moving on here, we're going to go into the Untold series, which is basically a documentary series on Netflix. I kind of compare it to ESPN's 30 for 30. They kind of come up with these different kind of side stories. And that Frank and I both watched here was called Sign Stealer, which is basically the University of Michigan, the scandal that happened this past season where they were accused of stealing signs. And I'll be honest, when I first had heard about this scandal, and I really didn't understand what the big deal was, because you can steal signs in college football. That is allowed. You're allowed to watch the film and stuff like that and try to decipher what they're calling in. But when I looked into it a bit more, what they were actually doing and accused of is the gentleman, I forget his name, that was their sign stealing guy, because every team has one.
Was it Connor Styles?
Yeah, I think that might have been it. I'm not sure.
His name sounds made up. It sounds like a comic book character.
Yeah,
Like every time they said, I was like, gee, this just sounds fake. But okay. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it did sound like a fake name, but supposedly what you're not allowed to do is do advanced scouting on teams. So, they were accused of sending people to games that they didn't play those teams until like weeks later, and you're not allowed to do advanced scouting. You only get the film, I think, like maybe the week before you play that team. So that's where the scandal kind of came up. And it was kind of interesting to hear all these different stories. Frank, he lives in Ohio. He's become a bit of an Ohio State fan. I'm a Michigan fan. So, we have a little bit fun with this. And,
Oh yeah, we had a good time.
yeah, so one of the theories that's brought up on this, because this Connor, I believe his name is, like we said, one thing that they wanted to know is, well, NCAA, how did you get this information? And apparently, his computer had been hacked, and the theory that they have, and you hear a bunch of different theories, right?
Right.
That like the Ohio State, they have like an Ohio State guy who runs like this. He's in this like dark kind of web group. He has his face covered up and stuff like that.
Yeah,
You
he's
know,
like anonymous or whatever that hacker group was.
yeah, yeah. And he's over there like he's like, like they're doing this and stuff like that. And he's completely the other side. And he actually brings up really good facts. Like he's pointing out like things, and in this chat. Go ahead, Frank.
When they first brought this guy up, I pulled out my phone and was like, this guy's gonna add nothing. But you're right. He brought up some really good points. I was like, okay, maybe the guy with the mask has something to say.
Yeah. I mean, like, and I kind of thought the same thing, but the other side has a lot of good things to say too,
Yeah.
right? Like, how did you get this information? Like, my computer was clearly hacked. Even the theory behind it is that, you know, this is, for those of you that don't know college football, this is a very deep rivalry. Like, and these fans are very loyal to their program, especially like boosters of these programs, right? And they will do anything. And that's not just Michigan, it's Ohio State, it's any big D1 program. They will do anything to see their school win.
Right.
Uh, the theory is that Ohio State, had paid someone to hack in his computer, because I think Ohio State had lost 4 years in a row, maybe, to Michigan. I think it was
I
something
think
like
so.
that.
It wasn't one. It was more. It was a couple.
Yeah, it was multiple, right? And it had been a while, but it was an interesting story to kind of hear it. He does admit that basically what was happening is, and it is kind of shady. He was buying tickets for family and friends, for other games that Michigan wasn't even playing in those games. Right? It was like
Right.
other states, other colleges and stuff like that, and these people said they did attend games, but what they were doing, and I do feel for this guy in a way, is if that's what he does for a profession, like Frank, if you knew I was a sign stealer and I gave you tickets to a game,
I'd be
and
sending you videos. I'd be
you'd
sending
be
you all the videos.
you'd be sending me all the videos, right?
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
how do you not look at that? And
Right.
that's what was happening.
And what's a shame is this Stallions guy, or Styles, or whatever his name is. Without that information, he shows you the amount of work and dedication that he's putting in. Like, he opens up his map and and it reads like a conspiracy web for murder, in a way of just like, this is how many people we recruited from this school or this little town in like Missouri or whatever. And it was like mind blowing, the amount of work he was putting in to figure these things out. And, at that point, if let's say Matt was that guy and I was sending him videos, if you're that deep and you're that committed, yes, you are going to watch those videos regardless, even if you weren't that committed. But like, I really found that commendable, and I'm sure other people have that type of thing too. But that was really the first time I had seen something like that, and just I guess it was a nice little taste of what goes into that sort of job.
Yeah, I mean, that's a challenge, and I did look it up. It is Connor Stallions. So
Stallions, okay.
Wild Sounds.
Wow.
uh, but like he does reveal like what a deep underground like kind of clique this sign stealing community is, because he kind of opens it up and says like, listen, like, you don't know how deep this goes. And to Frank's point, like, he was a lifelong Michigan fan. So the recruitment stuff he was just doing out of his own like pleasure and sending it to the University of Michigan. Had nothing to do with the sign stealing. But when it came to it, he actually was at wherever he was going to school, because it wasn't the University of Michigan. But he went to that team, that football team, because he loves football, right? Big Michigan guy, and says, I want to get involved, because I think he was going for like, he wanted to be a coach. And he said, how can I do it? And they said, we don't have a sign stealer. Why don't you try your hand at that? And, this program actually started winning games because he got really good at deciphering the film and figuring out like like I think of what is it, the Charlie from like Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where it is
Down in the mailroom.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. But he had these big charts, and he printed out these charts like, here's what all the things mean. And he would sit there and watch hours of film and write all this stuff down and figure it out. And he got really good at it. And and that's where people kind of like knock the whole Michigan thing. But it's kind of a shame, because it did kind of taint the Michigan Wolverines season, because they were a really good team. Like, even after that happened and Connor got released from the team, and they did blame like a booster who was like, he was like on the board or something, and he had to resign. And these are all things they kind of bring up in the documentary. But Michigan kept winning after that, and actually their last so many games was like kind of like the gauntlet. They had to play Ohio State, right? Penn State was another one. And those teams actually, and they say this in there, they weren't even doing signs because of this scandal. They were running the play in, and Michigan was still beating them. So,
Right.
you know,
And this is on topic, off topic. Like I had a cousin that used to live up in Ypsilanti, which is like the next town over from Ann Arbor. And we went up to visit him the one time, and this is before we had kids, so we had time to do things like this. And we went to Ann Arbor on game day to sit at a place, post up, have some lunch, and driving in. I have been to many, 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 many sporting events. I've been to concerts. I've been to Disney World. I've been to places where there's large crowds. I've never seen so many people in my life than that day in Ann Arbor. Everybody flocking to the stadium. I saw students jumping off of their roofs and like stage diving into people and then being like carted off towards the stadium. I saw some crazy things that day, but the amount of people just like I like the Michigan fandom runs deep, dude. Like, and there's so many Michigan fans. It blew my mind,
Yeah, but I thought it was a great watch. Frank, you're not even a sports fan, but you found it
Loved
interesting.
it. Loved it. In fact, I recommended it to our non-sponsor. He liked it too. Uh, you know.
Yeah, what does he know?
I-
I got the IMDb rating up here because there wasn't a Rotten Tomatoes score that I can find, but they gave it right now. It's got a 6.7 out of 10 rating.
What would you give it, Matt?
I'd probably put it around there. I'd probably put it around a lower 6.
It wasn't my favorite sports documentary I watched, but it was definitely one of the most memorable because I was just like, me, as you said, not a sports fan, like this sort of thing just never would have occurred to me had I not watched this documentary. I guess I guess that would be a thing,
Yeah, and part of it for me was the fact that I am a Michigan fan, and I did hear about this during the year, but I wasn't like, again, you're allowed to sign steal. So I was like, I needed more of the details, and I kind of got that through this. I kind of wanted to know, well, what exactly are they not doing? And they do a really good job of explaining like the advanced kind of scouting, and that's not what that was the no.
Right,
But
right.
I would say it's a stream. It's on Netflix. So if you got Netflix and you like this type of stuff, I'd check it out.
Absolutely. What are you doing? What else are you doing anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you what you shouldn't do is watch the Umbrella Academy season 4, which is
Interestingly enough, I didn't.
Frank didn't, but Frank knows me by now. I will hate watch this stuff because I just need to know what happens. I mean, I even think about this and I'll get knocked, by some people, right? But The Walking Dead, I think continued to watch it for like 3 or 4 seasons after Frank had stopped, and I finally just like cut the cord. I was like, I have to stop this.
I got a question for you.
Good, good.
How's the Rings of Power this season?
Actually, I told you to watch it. I think it's way better.
No, I'm not watching it. No.
Yeah, like we're I will that will be a future streamer botch, but
Right.
so far I am actually enjoying this season. I think you're getting more of the story that you wished season 1 was.
What's his name? Elron. I heard through the grapevine, aka our friend Mikey, that Elron actually is doing things this season.
I mean, he's doing more than what's his the master of tides.
So you're saying he left the dock?
Yeah. So, but the Umbrella Academy, guys, I'm sure you've watched it, right? This was a big, show when Netflix first released it. But after season 1, to me, the other seasons have just been major misses.
I loved season 1, specifically with the twist at the end on Ellen Page's character and who she became. I think her name was the White Violin was her name. And I liked a lot what they did with season 2 because they had time travel. I love a good time travel, right? And I thought how they did it. They did things were interesting. But for me, when I got into season 3, I just thought it was pretty aimless. There wasn't enough happening. We're getting into that multiverse where we're seeing the alternate version of the team, and it just wasn't for me holding my attention anymore. So I stopped watching. And the 4th season is the final season, right, Matt?
It is the final season, and I want to spoil it to save you, the people. I
I mean,
do.
I'm not gonna watch it, so you're not gonna hurt my feelings.
Yeah, so like they have to tie this all in because like you kind of said, Frank, it became like the multiverse, like, and that's all it really was, and it was just repeating over and over. Because what they're trying to do season after season is stop the end of the world from happening. Well, the way that they figure out the only way to do that, because this has been reoccurring multiple times, is that they only stop the end of the world if they don't exist. So they go and stop themselves from existing.
I actually like that. Believe it or not, I like it. You know what that is? That's the butterfly effect. You remember that Ashton Kutcher movie? That's what he had to do.
I do remember the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Yep, and that's basically it. But it was kind of long and drawn out in like a weird way to get there.
Mhm.
Like they never. You remember what's the name of the dad? I can't remember what his name is, but like you know
Professor someone.
he was like an alien. Remember, he like removed his like skin the one season.
That's where they lost me, I think, because I remember I was like, okay, this is because I felt like they were taking their heads and shoving them up their own butts. I was like, this is just stupid now.
But yeah, but there are things that like were happening that like they never truly explained, and I just found that weird. And it's just like they were just kind of wandering, I think, looking for this answer of like what to do. And season 4 just like really just draws itself out to eventually just get to that end point. And again, I just was just like I kind of hate watched it. I was like on my phone most of the time as it was like on in the background. But it's on Netflix. If you've watched it and you want to hate watch it just like me, go ahead and stream it. But I literally told you what happened, so you don't have to waste your time.
It's a shame because I really, really did enjoy those first 2 seasons. I thought they were great, and I was looking forward to season 3, but it just wasn't hitting the same notes as, or I expected a rise in quality, and I just felt like it dipped, and it just didn't hold my attention. So it happens. It happens countless shows, and I guess unfortunately this is one of them. but started out with great promise.
Yeah, I mean, it does have, overall, the rating on IMDb is a 7.8 out of 10. So it does have a good rating. That doesn't surprise me because, like, I agree with you. Like, the first season was really good. The second season was okay. And then it starts to kind of go downhill after that.
Right, right.
So, anyways, moving on, a film that I think is just the quite the fan film here.
Yes.
Beetlejuice, and we dare not say his name a third time because we don't need we're dealing with powers we don't understand.
Yeah, we don't need that madness in our lives, and neither do you. But but that doesn't mean you shouldn't watch the movie, though.
Yeah, I mean, Frank, you went and saw this, you really enjoyed it. I went and saw it, I really enjoyed it. They bring back, a lot of the characters, right, that you kind of wanted to see. Although, like when they do these things, I don't know if you have the same opinion, but like Lydia Deetz, for example, like, do we really need that same hairdo? Like, can we just like, like it worked for the original film, but do I need to see it on like this like 40-year-old woman or
Yes,
like
the answer is yes, you do, and you'll take it because that's the character. That would be like telling you saying, "Hey, Beetlejuice, don't wear the striped suit."
nah, see, that's different.
No, it's not. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
it's
It's
different.
not the,
It's
it's
not
the
the
same
same.
thing. It's
Not the he's been wearing that since the plague.
yeah, but we promised we weren't going to spoil the movie.
I mean, I didn't spoil anything. He says it in the first movie. He's like, I lived there playing. I had a pretty good time there.
That's right. No, but without spoiling the movie. Honestly, these legacy sequels, they are either good or they're not, and this is a good one. They bring back the right characters. The new characters, there's one new character that I think steals the show, outside of Michael Keaton, who obviously is the best character. But um, if you were a fan of the first movie, it doesn't quite hit those marks, but it does come relatively close, I thought. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was very funny. My wife and I were quoting it. Matt and I have been quoting it for the last couple weeks. So it I think the movie definitely does the job it set out to do, which is to, hey, we're going to do a sequel and it's going to be almost as good as the original.
Yeah, and it's like if with everything you love about the first one, like and there is some cheesy aspects to it, but that's what makes the movie Beetlejuice, right? Like
Right.
that's what I liked about it. They kind of stuck true to what it is. I read that that originally they were looking to push this to streaming. They didn't even think this was going to be a theatrical release.
And now it is making bank at the box office. Like this past weekend was its third weekend of release, and newer movies had come out, and it still beat them, and it is still number one at the box office. So it goes to show, like, people are enjoying this movie, and the fact that they would have lost so much money if it just went to streaming. And think of how many people wouldn't have saw it if it was like locked into, like, it's Warner Brothers, so it would have been Max. Not
Mhm.
everybody has Max, so
Yeah, and I mean, just to prove it, like the popcorn meter on Rotten Tomatoes again, which is the audience score, is at 80%. I mean, I'd probably put it around there, maybe a little bit lower, but like I think that's pretty accurate.
I think that's more than fair. I don't think this movie was better than the original in any regard, but it definitely was entertaining. It hit the right notes. Like, I was walking out of the theater smiling and excited, and you know, I read the ending as there's going to be another one, and hopefully it doesn't take 40 years for them to make it. I'd like to see it a little bit quicker, but so long as it's of the same quality as the first two.
Yeah, and I think I saw something where they are discussing possibly doing the third one. So
How could you
I
not?
I just worry about putting that third Beetlejuice in there.
Right. That it gets a little questionable. It's like, because like, what's gonna happen?
It's like the old South Park episode where you go look in the mirror and you say Biggie Smalls 3 times.
Right. Oh man, he's just trying to get to the Halloween party.
I know, right? Right. But hey, we got one more streamer botch, and that is the Cape Crusader, which is on Amazon Prime. It's an animated series on Batman. They kind of reimagined a few characters. I really enjoyed this. This kind of brought me back to the old animated series, Frank. I don't know about you.
It's exactly where it took me. I love the idea of seeing Batman operate in the 1940s, and that's where this series is set. And you get to see like the 1940s gangsters and just the aesthetics, the cars, the clothing, and everything. And Batman's arsenal and his gadgets and goodies are very much so of like for the time they would have seemed advanced, but for us it's like, what the heck is he using that for? And then he uses like, oh, I guess it would do that, But I thought the aesthetic and the setting was good. I thought the voice acting was absolutely incredible.
Spot, spot on. The music, everything.
Yes.
I mean, the animation, the way they drew everything, really reminiscent of that old kind of animated series style. When the opening credits first came up and the music started playing, and I saw that J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves were producers on this, I was just like, ooh. I was like, I know this is going to be good.
If you don't know, Matt Reeves is the gentleman who directed the Robert Pattinson Batman. And J.J. Abrams, there's really not a cookie jar that he doesn't have his hand in as far as producing goes. But when he's good, he's good. And when those two are together, it's like a chocolate and peanut butter mixture. So
lamb and tuna fish.
Lamb and tuna fish, yes. But would you prefer spaghetti and meatballs?
Of course, I'm Italian.
That's right. It's funny though. Like this ties in, but I'm going to jump back to Beetlejuice for a moment. This originally was supposed to be an HBO Max exclusive, but Warner Brothers didn't think it was going to be any good, so they sold it to Amazon, and it was one of their most critically acclaimed shows of the year. And I know like they've had to release press statements because there's more people like you and me out there that are just like, one season 2 coming, and they're like, we're working, we're doing it, we're making it as quick as we can, but it's not going to be for a while. So it's like, that's to me shows like there was a want and desire for it. And I want to know who the executive is at Warner Brothers who was like, we're passing on. I bet that person's fired.
And it's kind of even like shocking to hear even some of that, because I'm on Rotten Tomatoes over here. The popcorn meter, again, the audience score, 56%. You know what the tomato meter is? 96. Like, and I thought this was I actually watched this twice already.
I haven't watched it all the way through twice, but there are certain episodes that I did watch twice. I think I told you the one where is when all the hitmen came to Gotham to hunt the Batman. That was my favorite episode. I just loved how like, these guys, they're getting off the train. You think they're salesmen, but they all start pulling out like Tommy guns, and like the main guy is like, just snapping his fingers to the music like it's like a jazz thing. It's very stylistic, but it worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a stream for me. If you have Amazon Prime, definitely, spend some time, especially if you're a Batman fan and you grew up watching that animated series.
It's a stream for me, and unlike Transformers, it kept my son's attention to the point where when it was over, he was screaming at the TV, "Batman, Batman!" and just that really was touching for me, because like we were around his age when the original animated series comes out, which is kind of in the same vein as this. So like that you're like, as a father, you're just like, yes.
My daughter actually did the same thing, because she sat and watched it with me, and she was like, we watch Batman. I was like, yeah, we can watch Batman.
Oh, we'll watch. We got time for a Batman, man. Yeah, absolutely.
And now the moment our 3 fans have been waiting for.
That's right.
The return of children with adult money.
Shut up and take my money.
And we got to tell you guys, if you're thinking like, oh, there is no way they would put themselves through this again, You'd be wrong. We absolutely are going to. Matt, go ahead.
You don't know how stupid we are, people.
That's right.
Yes, it is the Batman Returns Hot Toys collectible 1/6 scale figure. Look how sexy this looks.
Ugh. It looks like it smells like 92, let me tell you.
I mean, like this actually is a re-release, and it was, I forget the year. It was years ago, like maybe 2014, 2013, and I had just gone in my first big boy job and stuff like that, and Frank and I had talked about these for years and hadn't yet pulled the trigger on one, and I saw this up there, and it was going to be the first one that I kind of bought. I decided not to, wasn't the right time, and it sold out, and I've been sad ever since. So when they did the '89 Batman, uh, I was like, "Oh, I hope they redo the returns." And Frank said this to me the other day, and I was like, "Yep, pre-order immediately."
And for those of you that are not in the know, you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. 89 Batman, Batman Returns Keaton. That's the same Batman. You'd think that. You'd think that. But there are subtle differences to the suit that people like Matt and I can tell. Like, we could be blindfolded and, just we could like feel the suit and be like, that's the 89. That's the return suit.
Yeah, the '89 is more like, kind of muscular, kind of shows the anatomy of like the body a bit more. This is a more like sleek, kind of futuristic.
It's industrial, I'd say.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. But yeah, man, I mean, I figured this would just go well in the collection. Frank and I have been collecting these. We both have the Dark Knight Rises. We have the Batman, the Robert Patterson one. So like, this was one I wanted to add because those are literally like my three favorite Batmans. So I this has to go in the collection. Um, yeah, Frank, take note here, right? There's no sticky bomb gun on this one.
There is no sticky bomb gun, but I will tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you remember Sticky Bomb Gate, where I thought when I got the Robert Pattinson Batman, they have the holster for the sticky gun, but no sticky bomb gun. I'd called the company. I said, "Hey, I think it must have like fell out of the box at the factory," and they're like, "No, you didn't buy the deluxe version of this." I said, "Oh, okay," and they're like, "Yeah, I guess okay." And Matt was like, "Are you mad?" And I said, "No, but I wanted to be a fly on the room, on the wall in the room where the decision was made, like sticky bomb gun. The only accessory or tool the Robert Pattinson Batman didn't come with. Like, he comes with everything else. So I'm just like, okay, but not the sticky bomb gun. Anyway."
Yeah, like let's just look through some of the things that come through it. Like, I love how they do all these poses. I love this one with the wings expanded like that.
Yes. On that photo though, if you were to zoom in on that image near the shoulders and where like you'll see how the suit like clumps up. That's what I was trying to tell you why later I have the 89 Batman because and I'm going to have them both. I'm going to have them stand next to each other because I have issues. Matt was like, I sent a photo of him on my display case to Matt and he goes, "Why isn't he posed?" And I said, "That Robert suit is not pose friendly." And Matt, if you look closely at that, you can see it in the photo. That's what I'm talking about. And you can't leave it like that for a while. Like, you won't, that pose is awesome, but you won't be able to keep him in that pose.
If you say,
okay, so. All right, nice, whatever.
You can actually see it a bit more here. Yeah, I mean, like, and that is how that suit is, right?
Right.
Like,
it's movie accurate. That's,
Yeah. No, the Batmobile does not come with it. That's actually like a unaffordable collectible.
Not only is it unaffordable, but like so because it's to scale, like, and that figure can fit in there. That I've seen YouTube reviews of people and they like bring out the measuring stick and show you just how big it is. And even the people that are buying it and they're saying, we don't have, I bought this and now I'm stuck because I don't know where I'm going to be able to put it. They're massive. It's just like, no.
Yeah, they're huge. But yeah, they always do a good job of kind of showing you like here's some of like kind of the faces like you can pose them with. Like I always like this one where like the mouths open a bit.
Yeah, I have my Christian Bale pose with that sort of style going on.
Yeah, and just kind of going through, the detailed wingsuit, um, and then kind of like again another picture of like all the accessories, all the goodies that come with. I got the standard version, so this is the stand they come with. That kind of matches what else I have. But the deluxe stand is actually pretty cool, and I think it was one of these earlier photos. It's this, right?
It's the corner of a building with the gargoyle, and you can remove the gargoyle and put in the Max Shrek, who's a character in the movie, like his cat emblem, which is also a nod because in that movie, Catwoman's in the movie. But just yet another great product from Hot Toys. Like I can't imagine the amount of work and the artists they had to recruit to get these little niche details for, like, again, people like Matt and I who've watched these movies way too many times. Like, we know the difference between the suits and things like that. And they know there's people, if people like me are going to buy these, they have to get it exactly right, or else, there's a large fan community that they're going to complain. And these figures will sit on the shelves. In fact, not to bring up like crap about the Flash movie, but because of Ezra Miller being kind of a criminal, they actually canceled the release of his figure because they knew not a lot of people, they're not going to put the time and resources in it because not a lot of people are going to buy it. And the same thing, I've seen the same thing happen. I think it was like a Predator hot toy a few years ago. Something was off about it from the movie it was from, and enough people complained that figure was never released. So it can happen.
Yeah. So last thing on this is the watch starts now.
Yes, Batman watch is back. And
I mean, I think this is what estimated next summer.
it looks like, if I remember, it will be between April and September, and that's when this year now was when they released the 89, and it was a similar time frame. And unlike the Robert Pattinson Batman, it arrived within the window. I was actually surprised. I was like, oh, okay. But so
Yeah.
hopefully they do the same with the returns. It should, because it's a reissue, and I guess they can get reissues out quicker. But one never knows with Hot Toys, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. I can't wait. Kind of finish my little Batman display that's usually like above my desk here. I'm looking forward to it. Frank, any final comments?
Excited, happy we got to record an episode. To our 5 fans, I hope we still have all 5 of you.
Yeah, well, I'll find out because usually there's only like 5 views on our YouTube videos.
I know.
So, hey, but thanks, guys. As always, that's going to do us. Do it for us here today. We'll catch you next time. Same streaming platform, same streaming time. Later, everybody.